Welcome to the 2020 Nashville Bar Association annual meeting. I'm Laura Baker, and it has been my privilege to serve as the 2020 NBA president. I would like to thank everyone for attending our first ever all virtual annual meeting. This evening, we'll celebrate an incredible year for the NBA and we'll honor a number of outstanding members of our bar for their service and for their many contributions to our profession and our community. The work of the NBA is made possible by the support of a number of organizations. We have two strategic partners whose support extends to all of our programs. First Horizon is our exclusive banking sponsor. They've been a longtime supporter of the NBA, and I'd like to thank them, and especially Herman Hicks, who you will hear from in just a little bit. We are also fortunate to have ALPS as our other strategic partner, and we are thankful for their ongoing support of the NBA. I would also like to extend a special thank you to Bill Ramsey for sponsoring the filming and video editing services to make this first ever virtual annual meeting a first-class production. Thank you, Bill. The NBA is also fortunate to have the support of several sponsors who have shared special holiday greetings with our members. Thank you to Bone McAllister Norton, Bradley, Butler Snow, Cornelius and Collins, Cumberland Trust, Dodson, Parker, Bem and Caparella, Fisher Phillips, Gullett, Sanford, Robinson and Martin, the law offices of John Day, Lewis Thomason, Nashville Electric Service, Neal and Harwell, Sherrard, Rowe, Voigt and Harbison, Sims Funk, and Spicer Rudstrom. The generosity and support of these sponsors is particularly meaningful to the NBA in this time of uncertainty and will help the NBA continue to meet the challenges of the moment. I will now call the 2020 annual meeting of the Nashville Bar Association to order. The first item on the agenda is the reading of the minutes by Secretary Bart Pickett.
I will now read the minutes from last year's annual meeting. The NBA annual meeting was held on December 5th, 2019 at the Music City Center.
Madam President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes.
We have a motion from Mr. Kitch to dispense with the reading of the minutes. I'll second John Kitch's motion and ask that all those in favor vote aye. Aye. The motion carries. I am now happy to introduce our treasurer, Jeff Allen, who will give us the treasurer's report.
Thanks, Laura. Normally, this is the part of the program where I would stand up on stage and simply say, I'm pleased to report that we made more money this year than we spent. Everyone would cheer, and I would sit back down. Well, 2020 has been unlike any other year for all of us, and the NBA as an organization is no exception. When the global pandemic hit us in early March, NBA board members, officers, and staff were understandably concerned about the uncertainties facing our organization. However, we did not let these unprecedented times shake our unwavering commitment to do everything we could to keep the NBA financially strong and connected. It was truly a collective effort as we pivoted to virtual committee and board meetings, adjusted our annual budget to ensure that we were intentional and thoughtful about projected revenue and expenses given the circumstances, and continued working tirelessly to deliver value to our members. With that being said, I'm pleased to report that despite all the uncertainty and hurdles of 2020, we made more money this year than we spent. In fact, we have more cash on hand at this point than we did at the same time last year. That the NBA is in such a strong financial position as we move into 2021 is a remarkable achievement. And for that, I want to sincerely thank the NBA board, staff, and all of our active members who have worked together to ensure that the NBA continues thriving no matter what obstacles we encounter along the way. It has been a true honor to serve as your treasurer this year. Happy holidays.
Now I'd like to recognize the board members and officers whose terms are expiring. They are Laura Smith, immediate past president; Brant Phillips, first vice president; Tracy Kane, second vice president; Eric Smith, board member; Darkenya Waller, board member; Stephen Zeralik, board member; Jeff Allen, treasurer; Bart Pickett, secretary. We are grateful for the commitment of these outstanding board members and officers, and we thank them for their years of service to the Nashville Bar Association.
Good evening. I'm Gil Schutte, and I had the privilege of serving as the Wildee president for 2020. We started off this year with a strong start with a Wildee happy hour at the Black Rabbit, a well-attended mock trial event, and then on March 11th at our board meeting, COVID-19 was declared a national pandemic and we were forced to push pause. Thanks to the board members, though, their hard work, dedication, and ideas to improvise, adapt, and overcome during this pandemic, we were able to have a successful board year. I'd also like to thank the firm sponsorship. Without your generous support, both financially and the encouragement of your younger attorneys, the Wildee would not be able to support or complete its mission. I would also like to say a very big thank you to the NBA staff, Monica, Tracy, Jill, and Shirley for keeping us motivated, on schedule, on message, and on budget. And a special thank you to Judge Joe Binkley and Marsh Nichols for their incredible support for the mock trial event, for giving us access to the courtroom, and Judge Joe Binkley for judging the final round. Now to the Wildee Awards. For the Enterprise Award, this year goes to the Race Judicata Committee, made up of Christina Relaford, Trey Relaford, and Mark Linehan. This committee planned for a full in-person 5K and were able to pivot in face of this pandemic and create the first ever virtual 5K Race Judicata. They continued to raise money and put on a successful event to support our two wonderful nonprofits, Achilles International and Able Youth. And the President's Award this year goes to Sherelle Hooper for her outstanding and inspirational leadership in the formation and her continued leadership of the newly created Mural Committee. Sherelle, in seeking to address the racial injustice in Nashville and across the country, the Wildee sought to respond in a positive, educational, and uplifting way. And Sherelle was able to capture and articulate that sentiment with her idea to create a mural in Nashville. And she's followed up on that idea with inspiring leadership to make that idea a reality. I'm looking forward to a continued success for the Wildee in 2021 with the leadership of Joseph Hubbard. Thank you very much.
All right, good evening, folks, and welcome to the virtual award ceremony one more time. It's my lucky job every year to be the old guy on the program, and I get to give away the NBA Journal Awards at every annual meeting. This one is different because it's virtual, but it's still an honor, and I'm glad I'm available to do it and still on top of the ground and walking. But before I do so, I've got to thank all the members of our little band, the NBA Journal editorial committee, especially Caroline Sapp and Lauren Poole. We have a lot of fun, even in our virtual meetings. It's a great group, and I'm very, very proud of them. And where would we be without the guidance of Jill Presley, who keeps us all straight? So thanks to everybody, and thanks to Laura Baker for letting me have this gig. Now on to the awards. First award goes to Tabitha Robinson. In our June-July issue, which celebrated 100 years of women's suffrage, she wrote a really amazing article and very inventive as well. She taught us a little bit of history about a woman named Alice Stone Blackwell, who was a woman that was instrumental in the movement. She was a great communicator, but she wasn't using email back in those days. She actually used a carrier pigeon. And so the title of the article was, "What message would your carrier pigeon send?" So congrats, Tabitha. Thank you for a great, stellar article and for being a great member of the committee. Now the award for Contributor of the Year, Ramona DeSalvo. As all of you know, Ramona is a very, very busy entertainment lawyer, but somehow she makes time to sit in on all our meetings, and she's never, ever too busy to step up when we ask her to do something, write an article, or give us important ideas for articles that are going to be in the upcoming issues. So as my Aunt Lillian would say, thank you, thank you, thank you, Ramona. And Monica's sitting back there, and I've got to thank her and all the NBA staff for putting together this virtual meeting. This is a tough job, and they're up to it. I think you're going to enjoy it, and we appreciate all of you on the staff for keeping us rolling throughout this year. Hasta luego, folks.
Hello, I'm Cindy Chappell, Chair of the National Bar Association CLE Committee. Thank you, and I miss all of my friends and all of my enemies if I have any. Each year, the CLE Committee gives an award in recognition of exceptional service to the National Bar Association CLE Committee. The National Bar should first be aware of 3 persons responsible for ensuring that the CLE Committee had any CLE at all during 2020. Monica Mackey, our Executive Director, Cameron Geralds, the CLE Director, and our outgoing President, Laura Baker. This triumvirate spearheaded the movement to ensure that immediately the National Bar Association had accessible online programming. We hope you have the opportunity to thank them. To the business at hand, this year's CLE recipient was also at the forefront of the adaptation of the legal process to the challenges brought on by the worldwide pandemic. On March 13, 2020, the Tennessee Supreme Court shut down all in-person court appearances. This year's recipient and her staff forged a clear path, citing precedent and legal authority to enable litigation to continue in the virtual setting. And importantly, they made sure that the process was readily available to the public. These deliberate and innovative processes were then shared with the National Bar through excellent, timely, and certainly necessary CLE programming. It bears noting that this year's winner has addressed legal issues from the removal of Confederate statues, voting during the pandemic, the Nashville Fairgrounds, and the Davidson County tax referendum. This 5th-generation Nashvillian has served as a Davidson County Chancellor for more than 20 years. We gladly present the 2020 Nashville Bar CLE Award to Chancellor Ellen Hobbs Lyle. Chancellor Lyle, thank you.
Every year, the Nashville Bar Association recognizes attorneys who have practiced law for 50 years with the distinction of emeritus membership. I'd like to tell you a little about each of the distinguished attorneys who achieve emeritus status today. Nancy Corley is a partner of Corley, Hennard, Lyle, Levy, and Langford. Nancy is a fellow of the Nashville Bar Association and a founding member of both the Lawyers Association for Women and the Tennessee Lawyers Association for Women. In 2018, Nancy was the recipient of the Athena Award and the Ralph Hanning Lifetime Achievement Award. Marbut Gaston is a lifelong Nashvillian who served our country in the Marine Corps. He began his law career with the Marines, including serving as Chief Defense Counsel and Special Courts Martial Judge. He has practiced as a solo practitioner here in Nashville since 1974. Patrick Ruth is a lawyer with the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development. Before embarking on his civilian law career, Patrick was commissioned in the U.S. Army JAG Corps. He then engaged in private practice for more than 30 years before joining state government. James Sanders has been with Neal & Harwell since 1978 and serves on the firm's executive committee. He is a fellow of the Nashville Bar Foundation and the American College of Trial Lawyers. Robert Thomas spent his entire law career at Bolt, Cummings, Connors, and Berry, now Bradley. He was the 8th lawyer to join Bolt Cummings when he was hired, and when he retired from active practice in 2017, the firm had more than 550 lawyers. Though he no longer actively practices, Mr. Thomas still goes to the office most days, following COVID-19 guidelines, of course, and keeps busy reading and dealing with a 5-generation family farming business. Justin Wilson is Tennessee's 34th Comptroller of the Treasury and was recently reelected to a 6th term in 2019. Comptroller Wilson has a history of public service. He served as Commissioner of the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation and as Deputy to the Governor for Policy under former Governor Don Sundquist. He was a member of the Financial Advisory Board of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and he served as chairman of the Nashville Electric Board, the Davidson County Metropolitan Health Board, and the Community Health Agency of Nashville and Davidson County. Congratulations to our new emeritus members on 50 years of law practice.
I am Nancy Corley. I have been a member of the Nashville Bar Association for 50 years. Doesn't really seem possible, but the Nashville Bar Association annual dinner has always been one of my very favorite events. It was an opportunity for all of the lawyers that fought each other during the year as adversaries to get together and celebrate in their best Christmas finery, being colleagues. And some of that Christmas finery was pretty spectacular. It was really a treat for a young lawyer to see those three-piece button-down watch-fobbed lawyers show up in poinsettia vest, ties that lit up and sang songs, socks that they would never, ever wear to court. But it was a great event to celebrate the fact that even though we were adversaries, we were colleagues. And I will always be thankful to the Nashville Bar Association because they provided that opportunity for me as a very young, naive, and somewhat scared baby lawyer to get to know some of the older members of the bar in a way I would never have been able to achieve without those poinsettia Christmas vests and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer tie and all of the crazy stuff they wore at Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everybody. And I will make one other comment that the members of this class, this emeritus class, are much, much younger looking than the members of the 50-year-old class when I first joined the bar.
Now we have a special presentation from our exclusive banking sponsor, First Horizon.
Thank you so much for inviting us to the Nashville Bar Association's annual meeting. My name is Andrew Kentz, and I'm with the First Horizon Bank. I manage our private client services division, and we're delighted to be here today.
Hello, I'm Herman Hicks, and I lead our private banking team that focuses on lawyers, judges, and law firms. We like to create a tailored approach to help you reach your short-term and long-term financial goals.
And I'm Kara Rhodes. I recently joined First Horizon as a private client relationship manager, but I led a similar legal strategy group at my prior firm in South Florida. I look forward to becoming involved in the Nashville Bar Association and all its partners in the community.
Since 2014, we have had a great relationship with the Nashville Bar Association. Some of the programs include Pay Your Dues. We've had my favorite, several happy hours, and we even have taken large groups to the baseball games at First Horizon Park. Well, given that we're strapped with COVID, Andrew, Kara, and I came up with a different way to bless you at the annual banquet this year. This year, we put our minds together and came up with a musical performance from a wonderful artist. We're actually going to have some live music for you, and I'm very delighted to have this artist to perform.
We are so pleased to offer Jill Andrews to the Nashville Bar Association as a fantastic local artist. She is well known in the Americana world with tens of millions of streams on multiple streaming platforms. We hope you have already heard of her. If you have not, please enjoy her music today. And thank you again for having us to your annual meeting. Jill.
me something perfect I can hold on to real tight. Give me just enough to make it through the night. Never felt alive here in your house of skeletons. Spend all your time trying to quiet them. You've been so high, I never thought you'd be coming back down. You've never been sorry, are you sorry now? You've been so broken, forgot what we were all about. You've never been sorry, are you sorry now? Sorry now. 3 steps back is where I always find myself. Some days I feel like someone else. Places you've been hiding will always be revealed, and I can't stop these spinning wheels. You've been so high, I never thought you'd be coming back down. You've never been sorry, are you sorry now? You've been so broken, forgot what we were all about. You've never been sorry, are you sorry now? Sorry now. Give me something perfect I can hold on to real tight. Give me just enough.
Greetings. My name is Keith Simmons. I am the chair of the Board of Trustees of the Nashville Public Library and a retired practicing lawyer and past managing partner of Bass, Berry & Sims law firm. It is my great honor and privilege today to announce and introduce to you the 2020 recipients of the Nashville Bar Association Liberty Bell Award. The Liberty Bell Award is presented annually to that person or group who have promoted better understanding of the rule of law, encouraged greater respect for the law and courts, stimulated a sense of civic responsibility, or contributed to good government. The vote, our vote, the right to vote. The vote is the bedrock of a democratic society. Without it, we are not a country governed of, by, and for the people. It has been a tumultuous year. And in this year, the vote reminds us of the power that invests in all of us and the fragility of a democracy without its free exercise. But our nation has a history of erecting barriers to the vote. 100 years ago this year, one of those barriers fell with the enactment of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, giving women the right to vote. It was the state of Tennessee and the Tennessee General Assembly that played a pivotal and dramatic role in ensuring that a woman's right to vote would be forever enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. The enactment of the 19th Amendment, Tennessee's role in its enactment, and the power of the vote are now celebrated in grand and reverential fashion by the Votes for Women room at the Nashville Public Library, downtown Nashville. The idea for the Votes for Women room was conceived by three energetic, creative, and committed women who believed that universal suffrage must be celebrated and preserved. Margaret Bim, Jeannie Nelson, and Julie Mosley set out not only to convince those of us at the library that such a celebratory altar to democracy should exist, but that it should exist in that most democratic of institutions, the public library. Having planted the seed, they raised the money to make the room a reality and lent their energy and vision to its creation and preservation. The Votes for Women room is now a must-see stopping point for all residents of and visitors to our great city. Without the efforts of Margaret, Jeannie, and Julie, this homage to the rule of law, this homage to the respect for law, civic responsibility, and government of, by, and for the people would not exist, and we would all be the lesser for its absence. It is now my honor to present the 2020 Liberty Bell Award to Margaret Bim, Jeannie Nelson, and Julie Mosley. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith, not only for your introduction and for your quick and supportive yes to Votes for Women to make it a reality, but also for your decades of public service and leadership to make the Nashville Public Library a preeminent institution. Jeannie, Julie, and I are so grateful to the Nashville Bar Association for this recognition and to the Nashville community, including many lawyers who have made Votes for Women happen. And telling the pivotal story of how Tennessee played a role in the ratification of the 19th Amendment just a couple of blocks from the library, one comes to understand that women were not given the vote. It was a fight to the finish. And in this stage of the political and cultural fight about women's role and power, it almost didn't happen. There are many themes to this room, but I'd like to talk about three. With the pandemic, we anxiously await everyone's visit. When you are able to be there, you will walk down an aisle in the stacks on the second floor, and you will see the large word women through the entrance on a bold yellow halo with other quotes. The prominent quote is from Gloria Steinem. Women have always been an equal part of the past. We just haven't been a part of history. Utilizing this theme, the room proudly displays women's part in history using images and storytelling that we often don't see in our history books. Another quote is that of Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, who got my first vote for president in 1972, and who, as the first Black major party candidate for president, has received much deserved praise since the election of our first woman vice president. Her quote, "If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair." Votes for Women challenges us to not only pull up our folding chair to the tables of power, but also tells what it takes for disenfranchised people to get and maintain the vote and how that fight continues to this day. You will also experience the theme so well titled in a recent presentation of Keith Simmons, "The more things change, the more things stay the same. The battle for ratification of the 19th Amendment." This battle, this fight over the role and power of women, the vote, and democracy, the room keeps alive these present day issues. The space hopes to stir children and adults' civic responsibility, and it hopes to give hope, inspiration, and empowerment to keep up the fight. We owe these fighters the responsibility not to let them down. Again, Julie, Jeannie, and I thank you so much for recognizing Votes for Women.
Hello, my name is Ed Yarborough, and it's my privilege today to be presenting the Jack Norman Senior Award to Pat McNally. Before we start with Pat, though, I think it would be appropriate if I explain a little bit about what this award is and about the man for whom it is named. The criteria says that the lawyer who receives this award should demonstrate respect for the rights of all individuals in the criminal justice system, exhibit the trial advocacy skills or judicial skills necessary to the pursuit of justice, demonstrate an abiding respect for the law and legal profession, maintain the highest standards of professional integrity and ethical conduct, and contribute to the improvement of the legal profession and criminal justice system, including the representation of those folks who cannot afford to pay a full legal fee. This award was created in 1996 by the Criminal Justice Committee of the Nashville Bar Association. And I remember being at that meeting and the discussion of Mr. Norman and what the Bar Association should do to recognize his tremendous impact on our legal community. I went back and looked at his memorial resolution, and part of what's in that resolution describes him pretty well. He was a man possessed of intellect and an unquenchable curiosity about law, politics, life, people, and relationships, not only in his own community, but throughout the world. He gave a bravo performance throughout his career in the many roles he occupied: husband, father, leader of the Shrine, power broker, and lawyer. Pat McNally, who receives the Jack Norman Senior Award for 2020 from the Nashville Bar Association, exemplifies all of those traits. I've known Pat now for more than 30 years, and I can certainly say that he has labored in the vineyard. He's been in the criminal justice system now for well over 35 years, probably more. And you tend to forget when you get up in that category, but he not only has represented many clients in big cases, he's also represented many small clients in cases that mattered a lot to them. And so in that respect, he certainly meets the criteria met by Mr. Norman. But great lawyers also have great cases. And Pat recently won a case in the United States Supreme Court, something that rarely happens anymore to a local lawyer. And he did it by going all the way to the highest court in the land and preventing the deportation of a person who had not been given proper advice by his lawyer in the beginning of a criminal case. So I think he exemplifies all the traits that we admire in Mr. Norman. And not only does this award bring honor to Pat, but also to Mr. Norman himself, that Pat is the recipient. So Pat, if you'll come up. I hold in my hand what I believe is the new improved Norman Award. It's got the name and the date on it. And I present that to you on behalf of the Nashville Bar Association. And we're all very, very proud of you.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. When I went home and told my wife, Carla, that I was the recipient of the Jack Norman Senior Award, she asked me who was Jack Norman. And I told her, I explained that he was an icon of the criminal defense bar, renowned for his courage and perseverance in the courtroom. In fact, lawyers used to close their offices down to go watch his closing argument, and he provided great service to the Nashville Bar Association. Well, then she asked me, well, who else has received this award? I said, Ed Yarborough, David Rabin, Ross Alderman, Dawn Diener, thinking she would be impressed by this list of lawyers. With a puzzled look on her face, she looked up at me and said, well, why you now? So, in all seriousness, the need for legal services does not take a hiatus during the pandemic. If this award symbolizes courage, perseverance of Jack Norman Sr., then it belongs to every lawyer of the Nashville Bar Association in the year 2020. Every lawyer who suited up and showed up to give service to their clients. The criminal defense lawyers who go into the jail at great risk to their health to visit with their clients. To the prosecutors and the defense lawyers who don their mask and go into court to advocate for their clients. To the judges who show up every day to preside over those cases. And you know, to the same lawyers who go into their offices or use this new form of communication we call Zoom to meet with clients in need as they navigate through difficult legal matters. When Jack Norman passed away, the General Assembly did a resolution. And in there they wrote, whereas although Jack Norman has relinquished his life for a better existence, the legacy of his courage and perseverance will live on forever in the history of our great state. If Jack Norman were alive today, he would be very proud of the lawyers of the National Bar Association, who have with great courage and perseverance during this crisis been of service to this community. Thank you.
Good evening. The John C. Toon Award is the highest honor the Nashville Bar Association makes. Henry Martin, who's marking 35 years as this district's federal public defender, is this year's recipient, and I am delighted to introduce him tonight. Henry and I have known each other for many, many decades. We overlapped at Vanderbilt Law School, and we clerked for the same Nashville law firm. As the federal public defender in this district for so many years, Henry has distinguished himself not just locally and statewide, but nationally as well. He was the founding president of the National Association of Federal Defenders, an organization that in 2015 gave him its highest award. Henry has chaired many committees for the American Bar Association and was a longtime member of the Advisory Committee on the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure for the U.S. Judicial Conference. In addition to leading his office in the important work they do in criminal defense and death penalty work, Henry continues on occasion to represent actual clients. He is obviously a great boss because no one ever leaves that office, and he has poached excellent long-term employees over from the court on more than one occasion, to our great chagrin. I'm happy to report that Henry has sought reappointment from the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals for another 4 years as our federal public defender in this district. He's probably going to outlast all of us. A most hearty congratulations to you on your receipt of the John C. Toon Award, Henry.
Thank you, Valeda, and thank you, the Nashville Bar Association. I am so humbled to be the recipient of the John Toon Award this year. When I looked at the list of the names of prior recipients, I saw so many names that throughout my career are lawyers that have befriended me, have inspired me, have motivated me, and have set an example for all lawyers of what a lawyer should be. My first thought about what to say today is sort of an, oh shucks, you know, I really don't deserve this. But that would be a disservice to those people who nominated me and selected me, and frankly a disservice to all the previous recipients of this award. And so I choose instead to give credit to the people that have put me in a position to be here today, because I am proud. I'm so proud of so many of the things that I have had an opportunity to work on over my years as a lawyer, and the people I've had a chance to work with. And I have to start by giving credit to my family of birth. My mother and father, children of the Depression, met and fell in love when they were 12 or 13 and stayed in love until they died in their late 80s. They set an example for me and my brother and sister of caring, of tolerance, of responsibility, and of what love meant. And then I have to give credit to my family of choice, my lovely and talented wife of 45 years, Gloria Ballard, and the two children, adult children of whom we're so proud, Nathan Martin and Anna Martin. And then I want to give credit to the many lawyers who have taught me, have mentored me, and inspired me over the years. There have been so many. Among the most significant of those, though, are George Barrett and Vince Webby. I met George when I was a second-year law student, and he has been an influence on me and a leader and a guide for me every year since. He remains that today. From the time I first met Vince Webby in the late 1970s, he has taken a particular interest in helping me become a better lawyer by his example and by his regular, freely given advice and counseling. Vince still remains a friend and a mentor and an inspiration to me. And there have been so many others. Lionel Barrett, Jim Niffin, Charlie Ray, Henry Hale, Bill Reddick, Mariah Wooten, who have led me, have guided me, have counseled me, and who I've turned to in times of uncertainty. And I've also benefited from the in-court tutorials of judges like Clora Morton and Tom Wiseman, usually preceded by the words "objection sustained" and by a frown. But every now and then there'd be a slightly perceptible raised eyelid or gentle turn of a mouth into a smile that let me know that maybe I was on the right track and should continue. The opportunity given me 35 years ago by Judge Merritt in the Sixth Circuit was really a career change and a life change for me. Being the federal public defender in this district in particular has been an extraordinary experience. It has, throughout my career as a lawyer, the federal judges in this district have been, to a person, top tier among judges in the United States. They have continued to give me and my office challenges and opportunities that continue to motivate me to this day. When I came to the office in 1975, I had the benefit of being able to build on an office founded in 1978 by Bill Farmer, staffed by some really hardworking and talented people. Mariah Wooten was there then, the amazing and incredible Rich Moore, and the multi-talented Ann Card were all there, as was Don Dawson, who stayed for several years after that. Over the years, a number of exceptional, talented, committed, and inspiring lawyers, investigators, and support staff have come to the office. Most, as Aleda said, have stayed. Many have gone on to other opportunities in Nashville and elsewhere to further their careers. And I have had so many opportunities in this position to travel across the United States, to meet other lawyers in other defender offices, to meet other judges, to meet what we call panel lawyers, who are private attorneys who take conflict cases from Miami to Seattle, from Maine to Southern California, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. Hadn't made it to Hawaii yet, but there's time. And I can tell you from the experience that I've had that this is the best district in the United States to practice in, and that the work done by the staff of my office and by our panel lawyers is second to none in the United States. I am so proud of the lawyers and investigators in my trial unit, and of the lawyers and investigators and paralegals in the capital habeas unit for the extraordinary work they do on behalf of their clients. Even now, through these trying times of the pandemic and the upside down political world, they face incredible challenges without hesitation and provide extraordinary service. And it's been my privilege and pleasure to work with them. And I'm also so proud of the private attorneys in this district who work on the panel. Many of them are members of the National Bar Association. They are handpicked. It's a merit-based selection process. It's a relatively small panel, and they are recognized by national administrators as probably the best panel of lawyers in the country. And they give so much of their time beyond just the representation they provide. A committee of those lawyers is now engaged in a bold new mentoring program where a combination of classroom work and one-on-one mentoring casework is going to give us with a cadre of fresh, young, well-trained, more diverse reinforcements for the work that we do. And this is all with the encouragement and support of Chief Judge Crenshaw and all of the judges in the district. And I also want to say that I am inspired in the work and the career that I have had by other organizations and people in Nashville who represent a similar constituency and do similar work. legal aid, the Metro Public Defender, now known as Nashville Defenders, Tennessee Justice Organization, the lawyers, staff lawyers and partners of the American Civil Liberties Union, and so many other organizations like that, that over the years have developed a culture in this community of commitment to those less fortunate, those with fewer resources, and to the protection of those persons. They are the same community that the lawyers in my office come from and the staff in my office comes from, and we are all strengthened by our presence together in the community. The lawyers who do this work have made a commitment to stand by the side of people that are often not well thought of by the general public. They are people in trouble usually and without resources. And the lawyers who come to that calling to stand by those people and sometimes stand in the way of forces that would bring harm to those people has been an opportunity of a lifetime for me, for which I'm so appreciative. And for that, to be a member of that community, I accept the John Toon Award on behalf of that community, and thank you.
We now have a special message from our strategic partner, ALPS, and stay tuned after that for the announcement of our new 2021 board members and officers.
Your law firm is worth protecting, and so is your time. With the quickest online application for legal malpractice insurance out there, ALPS is also your Nashville Bar Association endorsed carrier. Apply, see rates, and bind coverage, all in about 20 minutes. Being a lawyer is hard. Our new online app is easy. Apply now at applyonline.alpsnet.com.
2020 hasn't been the year that any of us could have imagined. It certainly hasn't been the year I planned when I embarked on this journey as NBA president. But I'm happy to say that the Nashville Bar Association has come together to persevere to make 2020 an incredible year despite the uncertainty and turmoil that our Bar Association, our legal profession, and our community have faced together this year. I think there is no better way to sum up the accomplishments of the NBA in 2020 than to do so in a spirit of gratitude by recognizing some of the NBA members who have gone above and beyond to make this a great year. As president, I have the honor of selecting recipients of this year's President's Awards. The first President's Award for 2020 is given to Jonathan Cole. You all know Jonathan as a past president of the Nashville Bar Association and a partner at Baker Donelson. Jonathan has also been an incredible source of support and a mentor to me this year. When tornadoes ravaged our city in March, one of the first NBA members to reach out to me the morning after the destruction was Jonathan. Having led the NBA through the May 2010 floods during his term as president, Jonathan acted as a mentor and sounding board for me as I led our Bar Association in responding to the pro bono legal needs of tornado survivors. And when a global pandemic was declared, Jonathan again offered support and helped as our board and the NBA team worked to help our members and our community cope. Every Courthouse News email you have received has been proofread by Jonathan before it went out to our members. Long before there were tornadoes and pandemics, Jonathan was already hard at work assisting the bar in putting together a commemorative event to honor the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, guaranteeing women the constitutional right to vote. Jonathan ably led the committee in putting together a fantastic program, our first all-virtual event in this pandemic, and I think the program did honor to all the women and men who fought for equal voting rights. Jonathan, I cannot thank you enough for your mentorship and support throughout this year, and I'm happy to count you as a friend. Though his term ended 10 years ago, Jonathan's love for and commitment to the NBA continues, and for that, I'm awarding him a President's Award. The next President's Award recipient is Danielle Nellis. Many of you attended the Diversity Summit in March, our last in-person, indoors event of 2020. Danielle Nellis had the vision to bring our legal community together to work through the difficult issues we face in addressing racism and discrimination, and to set the vision for diversity and inclusion in the legal profession. The Diversity Summit brought attendees from across the state, incredible speakers from across the country, and it couldn't have come at a better time to prepare our members to grapple with racial injustices that we have struggled with in our country this year. Danielle, thank you for your vision and leadership and for helping all of us work towards greater awareness of racial inequities and for working to provide a forum to empower all of us to take personal responsibility for making change. The next President's Award recipient is Julie Peak. Julie was involved in the planning of the Diversity Summit, and Julie is invested in the idea that all of us are responsible for righting the wrongs of discrimination that comes in all forms. One of the ideas that came out of the Diversity Summit is the need for broader engagement in the hard work of eliminating bias and attaining true inclusivity. Diversity programming has become somewhat of an echo chamber, as Julie would put it, where the same people and the same voices come together to discuss the same problems, and nothing changes. In order to make real change, more voices, more perspectives, and more engagement is needed. Julie took the lead in drafting the petition to amend Rule 21 of the Tennessee Supreme Court rules to require 2 hours of diversity, equity, inclusion, and bias elimination training for lawyers each year. The NBA board approved the filing of the petition, and it is currently pending before the Supreme Court. Regardless of the ultimate outcome of the petition, the goal of engaging more people in the critical conversations we need to be having around race and equity is happening in response to the filing of the petition, and that's a good thing. Thank you, Julie, for your leadership and your commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And thank you for being a friend and a sounding board for me this year. Our next President's Award recipient is Justin Campbell. Justin is a lawyer with Thompson Burton. Justin gives back. When the March tornadoes hit in Nashville, Justin answered the call for lawyers to provide pro bono services for tornado survivors. Justin was one of the volunteer lawyers at the very last in-person legal clinic in North Nashville that was held by the Legal Aid Society for Tornado Survivors. Justin's pro bono service did not stop there. When the pandemic hit and small businesses in Nashville began reeling from the economic consequences of a citywide shutdown, Justin worked with other NBA members, including President-elect Mike Abelow, to organize and staff a series of small business pro bono legal clinics put on by the NBA and TOWS to assist businesses with legal advice in a time of great need. Justin recruited lawyers to work the clinics, he signed up to work the clinics himself, and he was instrumental in figuring out how to integrate with TOWS to deliver pro bono legal services to small businesses in an efficient and helpful way. Justin, thank you for giving back. The next President's Award goes to Kristen Blackburn, a lawyer with Lewis Thomason. Kristen is an unsung hero of the suffrage program we presented in August in partnership with the Lawyers Association for Women. Kristen, a past president of the Lawyers Association for Women, took on the difficult task of coordinating with all of the panelists for the 2 panels that were presented in the program. And this was no small task. Walking panelists through the ins and outs of Zoom, some of whom had never used it before, making sure they all had the link to connect and that they all had their cameras pointed at their faces and not their feet, and leading planning calls to ensure that the discussion provided the most interesting aspects of each panelist's respective knowledge on the subject. It was a lot. Kristen did all of this without the promise of any recognition, because Kristen cares about honoring women advancing women in the legal profession, and providing quality programs to both MBA and LAW members. Kristen, thank you for your leadership and your hard work. The program was a success in large part because of your contributions and guidance. The next two President's Awards go to two MBA team members who have gone above and beyond in a chaotic and challenging year. The first goes to Cameron Geralds, our MBA CLE coordinator. As you know, the MBA's CLE model has been for all in-person programs. When the rules changed, when social distancing required that we move to an all-virtual format, Cameron took on the task of learning the ins and outs of Zoom and coordinating all of our CLE programs to be presented virtually. Her hard work especially shone through in the virtual suffrage program, which went off beautifully without a hitch. Cameron is another unsung hero of that program, and today I am singing her praises. Cameron, thank you for your hard work this year. We are so fortunate to have you on the team. The last President's Award goes to our very own Executive Director, Monica Mackey. I know I don't have to tell our members how lucky we are to have Monica at the helm, but I'm going to do it anyway. Monica is truly the greatest blessing to the MBA. Monica knows our members, she cares about them, and she is constantly working to make sure that the MBA is providing excellent resources. The series of town hall meetings that we held on changes in our courts because of COVID-19, those were Monica's idea. The small business pro bono legal clinics, Monica took over the behind-the-scenes coordination of those. Monica has served as our de facto CLE director this year and has done an outstanding job of keeping the wheels on the bus in the transition to virtual programming. Monica is an excellent steward of the MBA's finances, and through her leadership and planning, we have financially withstood a difficult year. Monica is also a wonderful friend, and I cannot overstate my gratitude for having her guidance and her good ideas this year. Monica, thank you. Before I officially hand over the gavel, I would like to say a couple last thank yous. First, thank you to my law partners, John Day and Brandon Bass, and the entire team of lawyers and legal professionals who make up the law offices of John Day. You have all made it possible for me to have this opportunity to serve the bar this year, and I'm grateful for your help and support. Thank you also to my husband, JT, and my children, Claire and Hudson, who are here with me today. This has not been an easy year for them, having a working mom with essentially 2 full-time jobs. Having their love and support has meant the world to me. I love you all so much. Last but not least, I want to thank the MBA team, Monica Mackey, Cameron Geralds, Tracy Hollinsworth, Jill Presley, Shirley Roberts, and Vicki Shoulders. This team has come together in a difficult year, and they have shown through their work the value of the MBA to our legal community. Thank you. This year has been unlike any year we've had before, but the MBA has risen to the challenges that 2020 has doled out, and I will always look back fondly on 2020, even though I know everyone else is just ready for it to be over. Pema Chondron said, "Nothing ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to know." This is a comforting thought to me in this tumultuous year. Serving as president of the MBA in 2020 has been a blessing in disguise, teaching me the value of being part of this incredible community of lawyers, teaching me the value of being flexible, teaching me the value of human connection, and that shared experiences bring us closer together. And if nothing else, 2020 has taught all of us new technology skills and that we need to be washing our hands a whole lot more than we do. Thank you for this opportunity to serve as your MBA president. It has been my honor.
Hi, this is Jonathan Cole from Baker Donaldson. I just wanted to wish my congratulations to Laura Baker for an incredible year. It's been a pleasure to work with Laura. I had the chance to engage with her directly throughout the year, particularly beginning when we had the tornado that struck our city back in March. The last time that we had a disaster was when I was president in 2010 when the flood came through. And so Laura and I started working together along with Monica Mackey, the executive director of the bar, to try to respond to the needs of our communities across North and East Nashville. Obviously, the pandemic followed right on top of that, and it's been incredible to see how Laura has responded. You know, they say that true leaders respond in a time of crisis, and that's truly been the case this year. Throughout her efforts, the bar has responded both to the needs of our members and to the public. Laura worked tirelessly day and night to put together over 44 courthouse news to give updates throughout the year about what was happening at the courthouse and how lawyers could respond to both the disaster and then the pandemic. And she also sponsored and moderated 14 town halls with various judges around town to allow lawyers the information that they needed to continue their practice. Laura's worked so hard and tirelessly to make a real difference. We've been so blessed to have her in this role, and I want to thank her on behalf of the bar for allowing us to serve our constituents, both the members of the bar and the public throughout the year, and to make the bar a very effective force in our city. Thanks, Laura, for an incredible year.
I've invited my family, JT, Claire, and Hudson, to assist me in my last act as 2020 Nashville Bar Association president, and that is to pass the gavel officially to our president-elect, Mike Abelo, who will now take office as your 2021 Nashville Bar Association president. Hold on. Oh no, let's give it to Claire. Claire, can you sanitize the gavel? All right, now take it to Mr. Mike. Take it to Mr. Mike.
Thank you, Hudson. Good job.
Good job,
Thank you,
buddy.
Claire, for cleaning the gavel. Great job.
Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you, Laura. Laura, thank you. Thank you to your wonderful family who I just had the opportunity to meet for handing me the gavel. I want to thank Laura for her leadership this year. I've seen firsthand the creativity, the dedication, and the hard work that Laura Baker has devoted to the bar. I know Laura is a planner, and this was not the year she planned for, but Laura is also a planner who has a rare combination of being a planner, but also the ability to adjust on the fly, figure out what our members need, put it together, lead the team to deliver it. She delivered the go-to information and services that our bar members needed in a crisis when we needed it the most. The bar updates we got literally became go-to must-read emails, the courthouse updates, and Laura put together that team to do that. We've really had 3 extraordinary crises this year. She led through the tornado, the pandemic, led the bar through how to respond to the protests after the death of George Floyd. Any one of these would have made for a challenging and an unusual bar year. Laura dealt with all 3 by delivering innovative solutions, unified our bar board, figured out how to be of service to our members and the larger community, and then delivered the innovative services that the bar is uniquely positioned to deliver. Laura, thank you for your service this year. Thank you for being available to me in the past year and providing me so much valuable advice already, and for letting me call you over the forthcoming year. Because of you, we're well positioned for the bar to come out of 2020 with these extraordinary events, learn valuable lessons, and be better as we emerge from the pandemic, hopefully in the second half of next year. As a small token of our appreciation, it's my honor to give Laura Baker this plaque in appreciation to Laura Baker, 2020 President, Nashville Bar Association. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Mike.
I now wanted to share with you some of the plans that I have for the bar for 2021. As you have heard, thanks to the excellent stewardship of people like Laura Baker, Laura Smith, Aaron Palmer-Polly, prior boards, and last but not least, Monica Mackey and her remarkable staff, we are in a very strong financial position. Our members have stuck with us in this unusual year, which is a testament to the leadership of this bar to deliver value that our members recognize in the midst of a pandemic. I am focused on that value proposition to continue to make the Nashville Bar Association a must-join for any lawyer in Nashville, to make that value proposition real, to help people in their business and in their career. That value proposition obviously has to change with the times, and particularly in these times. So what does that mean practically? I'm focused on 3 ways we can continue to deliver value. First, the value in seeing each other, for meeting new people in the bar, for making connections. People are very eager to meet up in a safe way. There's a lot of balancing here, but that may mean more outdoor type events. The golf tournament we had last year was a huge success. For those who want to come to events outside, particularly in the spring, we should make that available, and it is a focus of mine for this coming year. Second is the value in knowing the latest in technology and in space considerations. Lawyers love to talk about real estate and space, and I'm hoping that the bar can centralize some of that thinking and deliver it to our members. Many of us are making decisions now and have learned a lot over the past year about technology and our space needs. I would like the bar to continue to deliver programming on best practices nationwide. What are the trends? What does the office space look like in 2024 and beyond? Relatedly, what is the key legal technology that you need to know? There is so much information on this, it's a deluge of information, but the bar can be a trusted source to help our members separate the wheat from the chaff. Third, I'd like the bar to deliver value in knowing the latest in transactions and in litigation. What's working with judges and what's not. What's working in deals and what's not. In older days, we all knew each other or were hanging out at the courthouse, and this was passed around by scuttlebutt. Now, it's very difficult to get that information. We get reported appellate decisions, but that is a tiny fraction of the cases. The bar can be a trusted source for informing its members of significant trial-level decisions in Nashville. Not just the ultimate outcome at trial, but motions to dismiss, discovery motions, motions for summary judgment. Similarly, though maybe less public, can we report on significant transactions to our members? This would be a value proposition we deliver for our members and another reason to join the Nashville Bar. So those are some of my ideas for the upcoming year, but good ideas on what the bar can do come from you. So I'll be listening to you, and I very much ask that you contact me anytime if you have any comments, concerns, or suggestions about the bar this year. I want to thank my partners at Sherrard Rowe, Voigt & Harbison for giving me this opportunity to serve. In a firm of 41 lawyers, I'm the 4th member of Sherrard Rowe, Voigt & Harbison to be the president of the Nashville Bar after Tom Sherrard, Bill Harbison, and Bob Mendez. And I think that speaks to the type of leadership set from the very beginning of the firm, the involvement in community, the expectation, and the encouragement that our firm provides. I'm very grateful to practice law at a firm like that. I want to also thank my family, my wife Cynthia, my children Gabby, Juliana, Ben, and Annie for supporting me in this coming year. It's now my honor to introduce the new members of the board of the Nashville Bar Association who were recently elected from a slate of outstanding candidates. The new members are Bahar Azdari, Jazz Boone, Sam Felker, Kim Looney, Kaya Grace Porter, and Tim Warnock. It's now my honor to introduce the officers for 2021. In addition to our first Vice President, Lynn Ingram, and our second Vice President, Dan Bareksa, who were elected last year, I have the pleasure of introducing the results of the election that occurred at the board meeting last night. Our President-elect is Martisa Johnson. Our first Vice President-elect is Judge Melissa Blackburn. Our second Vice President-elect is Liz Sitgreaves. Our Secretary will be Josh Bergener. Our Treasurer, Justin Campbell, and returning as our General Counsel, Leela Hollabaugh. Thank you for attending this virtual banquet. Thank you for your membership, and thank you for all you do for your fellow members of the bar. With that, we are adjourned, and I look forward to seeing you in person soon.